Subject matter warning. The following content will not be promoted or advertised on by our distributors. Please interact with the content to let us know you're here and want more. Also, get your kids out of the room. Freak.
It's not working. Hello, good evening, one and all. Welcome to the sequel to the Gore Desensitized to Gore stream we did a couple of months ago. I have most of the people that joined last time. We'll start with Dice. Dice, how are you?
Oh, I'm okay. Oh shit! Why am I on the screen? Yes, I was one of the originals. I guess. Hi. How you
Yes,
doing?
I'm going to be focusing on body horror for you.
Yep.
Why don't you give us a couple of movies that you quite enjoy that are in the body horror category?
Reanimator, probably. Bride of Reanimator. Society. I guess brain damage to a certain extent might also fall in that category. Those are fun.
Well, thank you, Dice. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
We'll get to more of that later. But another person that joined us last time, and this is not working properly. Celise,
Whoa.
how are
Hello.
you? Why you're not?
I'm doing
Dice.
well.
There you are. And let me first say I apologize that I looked at the video in the beginning and I was like, it still has the sign for and. And
Oh, no
I now
worries.
know that it's sweet in spooky and
Yeah, like sweet and low.
yeah.
Gotta keep that in mind.
Apologies.
It's a play
Yeah.
on words.
Murder boy. I got to remember that. I'm sorry. I'm stepping all over you. Celise, you're here again. And your big topic is Giallo films.
It is. I love Giallo films. Should I list my 3 faves?
Yeah, sure.
Is that what we're
Sure.
doing?
We'll do it. Fine.
All right. Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward. Deep Red.
Mm.
Case of the Scorpion's Tail.
Oh, nice. Well, welcome back. And we'll get to it after I introduce this full bus of participants. Is it going to work? It's not going to work. Yay. Hi, sir.
Whoa.
Cody Leach, you didn't join us last time, but you're here as the
I'll be playing the part of Corey tonight.
Dick. Well, you're going to be my slasher kid. Why don't you tell us about your channel, a little upstart?
Yeah, there's like DIYs and yeah, you can find me at that name right there. That's how creative I was in 2016. So you got a lot of movie reviews. I focus on horror, but luckily I've been able to branch off and talk about all genres, and the majority of my audience comes with me. So if you like movies, come on over.
And thank you for being here. Joining us for the first time, it's not going to work, is it? It is. Gigi from Root for Scream. Just let me get your name.
Cody.
Yeah, there it is. Welcome.
Hello.
See, here. I would ask you for top 3 from your specified category, but you have something really unique going on this year, at least. Seeing over 160 horror films from this year.
Yes. So I embarked on a little endeavor where I am watching every horror movie of 2024. And when I first created this, like at the time, there was only like, I think maybe like 60 movies slated for 2024 where it was like, oh, this is what we knew. And I was like, that is so easy. Now there's like 300 and I'm second guessing my choices, but yeah, quite a few. I've watched about 160 so far. I think this year I've watched like 250 just because I was like, I needed a break from the new ones and I wanted
Oh.
to rewatch the old ones. So yeah, my brain's probably just like melted right now.
So of those 160, just a number. How many would you say is really not worth talking about?
Oh God.
More than
That's
10? More than 20?
Oh yeah, I would say probably like I would say like half of them. Like and also like I would say probably like yeah, I've gone through there's like quite a few, which I love it. That's why when people are like this is like I think somebody commented on like I don't know, like the Substance or something and they're like which is crazy, but they're like this is the worst horror movie I've seen all year and I'm like oh
Boo.
I love those
I'm like,
comments.
one, it's the
Boo.
Substance, but I'm like, two, I have watched Bad Nun 3 and Murderita-ville, and I'm like, you have not seen Bad, okay?
Well, thank you. I look forward to having a discussion, and of course, thank you for being here.
Thanks.
And last but not least, come on. Yay! It's Gray without his name. Gray, there you are. Hi.
I'm Gray.
Welcome.
Hey. Thank you.
Glowing commercial for Evie Mux.
Yeah, Evie Mux.
Yeah.
Donate now.
Yeah. This is not great. Great. What is your preference when you go to watch horror films?
Oh, that it's good. I don't know.
High
I
standard.
love body horror, but
Okay.
I love just like creepy and yeah, anything like suspense as well. So I don't know. I'm just all around. I want it to be good.
Is there
But
is there
yeah, I
something
kind of love it all.
gore related that you can like really focus on and say, yeah, this is awesome?
Well, I mean, we just spoke of the Substance. I think that is probably my definite. I'm not sure if it's number one of the year. It keeps kind of vacillating, but yeah, just I cannot say enough. And man, somebody who said it's the worst of the year. Like I can understand not liking it or not liking body horror, but ugh.
Maybe
But yeah, as far as gore goes, that reminds me of like Evil Dead. The amount of blood that was just thrown over the audience, I'm in for it. Like give me a hose of blood. Like it's great. Let's do this.
nice. Well, thank you for being here, and thank you for the voiceover, sir.
Oh yeah, anytime.
I thought I recognized her.
Yeah. Yeah, pardon. All right. So to the chat, Ryan, Captain Kreider, Manny, Jason, Gray. Don't do that. Bob, how are you? Okay. So we'll start by talking mostly about whether or not gore can exist in a PG-13 or younger universe. But first things first, Dice, the body horror, just how important is gore to the body horror subgenre? Like saying, does the camera need to be in focus? I guess that's all I'm asking here.
Well, body horror, of course, is. I think a lot of people go for it because they expect some really interesting and different special effects. Practical is usually preferred. There's some body horror I've seen that really does not have much, if any, gore. It's not very common, but it does exist. Now, that's not to say that it can't be gross without the gore, but something like Society, I imagine, would fall into that category because there's a little bit of gore, but not much. It's mostly just this, like, well, you haven't seen it, and I want to show it to you, so I won't reveal too much. But
It's so good.
it's this squeamish, gross sort of shit that's going on, and it's not because people are being split in half or their guts are being spewed out on the floor or anything like that. It's an interesting juxtaposition to like Brain Dead. So,
Okay.
yes and no.
So you can have a body horror, which I really feel like it's inherent in the title, the subgenre, body horror. You could do that without pulling off gore.
Yep.
All right. Celise. Giallo.
Giallo.
How important and or necessary is gore for giallo films?
I actually don't think gore is that important for a giallo film. I have seen a lot of giallo films that kind of have very little to no gore. A giallo is mostly a murder mystery. I think like things that Dario Argento has done, I think it's important for that because of the way he frames the shots, and like he kind of makes his kills and his like gore kind of beautiful. I know that sounds like sick and twisted, but so it's part of the charm, really. But yeah,
Artistic gore.
Yeah, I mean, short of really bright red blood, what is the difference between like Basic Instinct and a giallo film? Like, I'm genuinely asking, like, what would you say the difference is, other than like that, Italian gore when you see it, or blood?
I think there's just a different vibe.
Okay.
Like Basic Instinct, I think is just like a straight thriller. Like a giallo, there's a vibe. There's synthy music. There's surrealism. There's a pretty clear vibe that makes you kind of know like this is a giallo.
So, if you did something like Malice, I'm just going to name all Sharon Stone's movies, I think, and put some synth to it, would that get away with having some sort of giallo confusion?
I can't answer that because I haven't seen that.
Oh,
sorry.
Well then,
get out. I'll follow with you because I have no idea.
I have no idea what that even is.
Oh wow. Okay, I think one of the Baldwins was in it, but
is it good?
Not. It's all right. Oh wait, no. Yeah. I'm confusing Malice with something else. Malice is
Malice was
Alec
Baldwin and Nicole Kidman.
Yeah. Yep. See.
Oh, see, I really
nobody knows what it is.
Wow.
No, I know.
Apologies.
Yeah, what?
I got to take notes next time I try to ask questions.
We're talking 90s thrillers now. Like you're fucking it up.
Yeah. Apologies.
What the hell?
That is on me. My bad. Cody.
Yes.
Slashers. Is it necessary? Is gore necessary for slashers?
100%. Next.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, you can have slashers without a lot of gore. I mean, I was trying to think of some examples of PG-13 slashers, and the two that came to mind was April Fool's Day and Happy Death Day. And perfectly enjoyable, but for me, like, for a slasher to survive as PG-13, it has to almost lean into silly. Like, it has to almost be, like, borderline horror comedy and, like, not really trying to go for gore and kills. Like slashers, just like an element. It's not really the point, I guess. The way that I walk into slashers and my definitions of it, I guess it's hard to have a really effective slasher while trying not to be gory. So maybe of all the genres we're talking about, I think slasher is the most handicapped if you're going to not be rated R.
Huh. Okay. Gigi, just all the rest of the field, is there a subgenre in horror that you feel can do it other than, well, anything we've listed that could probably get away with not having gore, or perhaps doing a PG-13 version with some? Oh no, wait, that's the next question. Apologies. Is there a subgenre that you feel like can get away with not having gore in it?
Yeah, totally. I think that to be honest, a lot of 2024 releases have been, or especially like the more unknown ones, have been more like psychological horror. And there has been quite a few that have been lacking in gore. And sometimes it's like not as enticing because I'm like, okay, this is borderline just like a drama movie rather than like a horror. But then there are some that were like, pretty dreadful and, have that like tense feeling and just no gore at all, just real like psychological. And I feel like I could get away with it.
Okay. Thank you. Gray, is there a subgenre that you feel like can get away with it?
I think most of them can. I think you can mess around with it with camera angles and blocking, but It kind of depends. So are we considering like any blood whatsoever as gore, or is it kind of copious amounts?
I need to see someone's pancreas.
Well, it would. I guess
So, like, is Scream a gory movie? Like,
yeah, because
so you
Drew
consider that
Barrymore's
gore?
without a stomach in the beginning, hanging from a tree.
It's like disemboweled, and she's
Yeah.
hanging by her intestines or
But-
something. I don't know.
I
Correct me if
think
I'm wrong though. PG-13, right? So
I think it's
wouldn't
R.
that be?
It's R.
I think it's
Is it R?
R.
Okay,
Yes.
my bad.
I think
Excuse me.
Yeah,
My-
there's not many PG-13 slashers. I looked, I was like, shit, is
He was
there
also
any? And then-
correct.
Yeah. I don't think there is.
Fair
Well,
enough.
does-
Letterboxd.
Yeah, does the one that they went back in time, the Back to the Future one, where
That was rated
Uh,
R2. I was almost
was
going
it?
to include that.
Oh,
Yeah,
Totally
it's
Killer?
mostly for
Oh, wow.
language. It's mostly for language,
Hmm.
but yeah.
yeah, I guess
Someone
we
said
need,
Fair enough.
fuck once.
we need a representative of the Motion Picture Association.
What rating we get? PG-13. Fuck. Now.
I would say slasher based off of like the name alone. Like, there's gonna be blood. So yeah, I'm assuming that would suffer the most. But almost anything else, I think you could do, artsy. Like, I think you could make it decent and still impactful without making it too gory. But
Yeah,
I mean, that's true because that's even like the original Texas Chainsaw. It's like there's barely any blood in that one, and
Yeah.
people are like, it's the craziest film ever. And you're like, when you rewatch it, you're like, there's like 2 drops of blood in here.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, like going back even further, they thought that about Psycho, and like short
yeah.
of the shower scene, it's just like, you're gonna do anything in this movie or what? So I think it goes back to what we talked about last time. It's just society getting desensitized to things where I'm sure there's things that are out now in a PG rated where they'd probably be a PG-13, perhaps even an R 20, 30 years ago.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I don't know what that says about what, but there is some sort of desensitization. Yeah, we're just haggard now, I guess. So does anybody feel like gore is necessary for certain subgenres? I'll lead with this reference, and it's not for a horror film. I think the way they use gore, and probably it has a purpose, is something from Gone Girl. When spoiler, when there's a sex scene
Oh my god, I
And-
love this scene. Sorry.
Yeah, so
and
good.
during a climax, female cuts the man's neck, and I believe it's purposely timed like that, where during the sexual climax, he's cut, and the liquid that comes from him is blood, and I feel like that's really effective.
Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah.
Well,
Hey, it doesn't matter. Anything.
you're
I was
expecting
always
liquid.
curious what would come out of this.
Yeah, it's an interesting scene. It's kind of like
Gargoyle,
Lady
you said.
Bathory-esque. Yeah, I understand it. Like, I think that is pretty gory.
Yeah.
It seems pivotal to the film. I guess you could just reference that, but yeah, I don't know. Can you see a way that would go without it, Charles?
No, because of the parallel to the orgasm, I think, stopping him short of doing that while timing it that you cut his neck open is it's got a bit of an artistic taste to it. It
For sure.
feels like you need that in that movie to get the whatever reaction that is, and that's not a horror movie. That's a thriller.
And to also understand her character. Yeah.
Yeah, just vicious, just does whatever the hell she wants when
Well,
she
that's
feels-
for that scene specifically too. That's where things really ramp up, because up to
Yeah.
that point, it's just mental manipulation and like scheming and it's like
Yeah.
almost like a Cold War with her husband. And then that scene is like, oh, she's fucking
You're like,
crazy.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, she's a killer. Yeah.
yeah, because she doesn't wash any of that blood off either when she comes home and like the
You fucking.
She kind of like loves it. She kind of loves it all over her.
Mhm.
yeah, 'cause, she waits until he says you fucking bitch, and then she like collapses in his arms.
All dramatic.
Yeah. It's I think all of that from start to finish there, I think that's needed to help sell that. And
Mhm.
it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, we kind of need that R for this. for a bunch of reasons. Do you think that there's a film, whoever wants to take it first, that you definitely need gore for the movie to work? Nice.
Anything called Terrifier.
Yeah.
Continue.
I say, yeah. 100%.
Saw.
Oh, for
Oh,
sure.
yes.
Saw.
Yeah, I think it created its own genre. That does seem rather necessary, but at
People
least
didn't
now.
expect that.
You can't
I'd say Friday the 13th because we have a couple examples where we came close to PG-13 slasher, and those are the ones that everybody consistently bitches about to this day. They're like, release the cut. And
Yeah,
Well,
that's fair.
is it just blood? So, like, if so, I can't see how you do Carrie without that. But I don't know. I wouldn't consider it gory, but I mean, that's one of the bloodier scenes that I know of that is pivotal to the movie.
Yeah.
How about Jaws?
Is Jaws? Jaws may not even be.
that's a
R.
really good example because
Yeah.
you could, I think Jaws would be just as effective without the little bit of blood that
Yeah.
we get in there, but that's like the exclamation point on the movie. Like, I think it
Yeah.
would still be terrifying, but when you see blood shooting out like a funnel and a 9-year-old kid's floating, you're like, ah! And so it's,
Well, see,
I wouldn't want to watch the version without blood, but I think
No.
you could survive on that one.
yeah, it
Good
might
job,
take
guys.
some of the the teeth out of it.
Take the bite out of it.
Yeah, but I was mulling that over today, going, okay, so leading up to that point, what do we see? Severed arm. Maybe that's about it. But of course, that might actually happen after. But that's kind of like the gut punch to the audience because it's a kid. This is the first time we get a decent shot of the shark, and the kid is being eviscerated for whatever our brains are going to come up with for that. And
So
there's just
kids get for making
blood.
noise.
Yeah.
Oh,
Told you to stay in the shallow end.
Celeste, do you have one?
I'm gonna say any film made by Dario Argento. So necessary.
Really?
Yeah. It's kind of his thing. Has anyone seen Deep Red? Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
actually haven't. No.
It wasn't made
It's
in
a lovely Christmas
2024,
film.
so Gigi's out.
She's like, I don't have time.
I know.
Yeah.
You need it. It's part of the like whole artistic way that he goes about his movies. So creative with his skills.
I think it just depends on whether or not the gore or the shock value is the point or not. Because there's a lot of movies that have really fucked up subject matter that doesn't really show anything. Like my mind just went to Frailty, and you
I was
literally
thinking
have
the coffee
Oh,
table.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God I didn't need more on that one. But like, for example, with that one, you have like a guy who's literally chopping people up with an axe the whole
Yeah.
movie. You never see anything though. It's
Yeah,
all
it's implied.
sound design. Like the camera pushes away and just shows the reaction of the boys. Sometimes that's all you need. And so I don't know if I'd want to see a version of that movie that is the R-rated cut where they stay on the, dismemberment.
So Cody, you're saying that you feel like Frailty would be affected negatively with gore.
Yeah, I do. I think there's certain movies where I think the reactions and the suggestion is more powerful than seeing it. And even like if you're going to go for like a slasher movie sometimes, like for example, Terrifier 3, not going to get into spoilers because I know most of us haven't seen it, but like there's certain scenes in there where I'm really glad they just suggest things. I'm really glad that
Yeah.
you just hear and you imagine certain things versus seeing it, because I do think there's a line for a lot of people where you can see too much.
Yeah.
And
Where it's like, maybe you should seek help.
yeah,
Yeah, for
exactly.
sure. For sure.
Exactly. So I think there's some examples in movies where that it's not the point to see it; it's the point to put it in here.
Yeah.
On the flip side, do you think Terrifier, any of them, can serve the same purpose without gore?
No,
Right. So
no. I think
Terrifier
that's
definitely needs gore.
that's the sales pitch of those movies. I mean, they got other things going for it. I'm not saying it just has the gore, but can you imagine the reaction to a Terrifier crowd? They walk into Terrifier 4 and it's like, "Hey guys, we tried something different," and it just doesn't show any kills. It'd be like, "What
Yeah.
the fuck?"
And then I'm thinking of like, even if you like rewrote it, like if it didn't exist and like, it was, that's just kind of what it was meant to be, like always implied. I think it would come off a little bit too like cheesy, maybe, where you're like, oh, this needs a little bit more oomph. So
It's
I
definitely a
don't know.
balance with those movies because it's so
Yeah.
over the top with the fantastical and like, the art's performance and the silliness of it. And then it's juxtaposed by like the most disgusting display of gore that you're ever going to see. And if you take that off, the scales definitely tip where it's just, I was just this goofy clown walking away, just
Yeah.
making faces and blowing horns. And I guess people die. We didn't see them.
Something happened to him. I don't know.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't even get to see art with tits.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Tragedy.
That did happen.
Yeah.
That's the thing that happened. Hey, happy Halloween, everybody.
That was pretty iconic.
Hey, he is an ally. Yes.
Yes, slay.
So I'm going to jump on that, Dice.
Oh.
The necessity. Can you
You're gonna
see?
jump on the
I'd be
tits?
fine
Okay.
if you didn't
Art
laugh.
with tits. I'm going to jump on that.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Don't dad pun my shit. So, do you think one is more important than the other? This probably goes to you, Cody. Can slashers get away with being gory but not having nudity in it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think, you have certain movies where I think nudity is part of the point, like the Friday the 13th movies. I think it's a huge piece of that DNA. That's why one of the things I always hear about the remake, it's like, there's too much sex. I'm like, it's a Friday the 13th movie. Like, what a weird movie to bring that up.
That's also like part of the whole thing because they were
Yeah.
having sex and they didn't pay attention to like hello.
Yeah.
Context clues?
Exactly.
We need a Friday the 13th jab counter. Cody's on 2, I think, already.
I just think, well, that's when we're talking slashers, that's just kind of the baseline example.
No, it's
Yeah, so I think that there's probably more slashers without nudity than ones with nudity. In the 80s, it was just, let them all free. But
Free for
nowadays,
all.
nowadays I think it's more about the gore, which is weird. It's weird how we've kind of shifted our, I don't know if sensitivity is the right word, but like it seems like people get more in conversation about how necessary sex scenes are and how necessary nude scenes are in movie before we'll challenge something like, how far gore has went and how far violence has went. It's very strange.
So, Dice, considering body horror is pretty focused on the body, would that be a subgenre that you feel like if you take the nude body away from that, would it still work? Because you're like at that point you're just cutting arms off or legs off, and
one movie I think that is pretty firmly in body horror that if I'm remembering incorrectly, somebody tell me. I don't think there's any nudity in it at all, and that's Scanners.
ooh,
So
Haven't seen it.
I've only seen it
Ooh,
once.
it's awesome.
me neither.
I
it's very
can't remember any
interesting.
nudity in it.
David
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael Ironside is in it as a very
The head
very-
explosion.
that exploding head. I don't think you need anything else in that movie, but yeah, that's interesting.
So it is possible, and I think of body horror a little bit differently than some other people because, like you kind of suggested, body horror you want like what limbs popping off, being sliced off, falling off, who knows what. But I also see more of an internal rearrangement of the makeup of someone's body. That's happened too. And it doesn't always have to be, shall we say, an external source that can come and like rip someone's clothes off and expose the naked body. It could just be, say, like a werewolf transformation. That could happen. There may or may not be nudity.
Where my mind tends to go too. I don't really think of body horror as like the body just getting chopped up. It's like it's degenerating. Like I think
Yeah.
I think of The Fly or even like The Substance. Like
Yeah,
there's
I think of like
gore in The Substance,
antiviral.
but
Yeah.
yeah, like even just the scenes of Demi Moore waking up and having something be different in her body, which I think
Yes.
I'm not going to spoil anything. Like that is body horror in my mind.
Yeah. I think the same. I'm on the same boat with that.
So, Lise, Giallo films, can you have it? I mean, see, I have this very narrow view of Giallo, to be honest with you. I felt like it was a prettier version of like 90s Skinamax movies. So, can you do Giallo films without having some sort of sexual element to it?
I don't think so. I don't
Really?
think I've seen any giallo without a sexual element. They're like inherently erotic, those
Yeah.
movies. So I think that's definitely needed.
So nudity.
There's always nudity. I don't
So
think I've
Yeah.
seen a giallo without nudity.
So
I'm like
nudity
so
babe.
used to seeing Edwidge Fenech
Yeah.
naked that it's like part of the whole thing. It's like sometimes I don't
This is
even
funny.
realize she's naked. I'm like, oh shit, that's right, she's naked.
That's like one of the
Part of the whole
markers,
thing.
I feel like, when people are like, you know, a giallo film, and you see one, and you're like, because there's nakedness, there's like a lot of sex, and there's
Yeah.
crazy hues.
Everything's red.
Exactly.
Yeah.
including the nipples. So
They've got a cream for that.
would you say that sex is more important than gore in giallo films?
Oh my god. I'm actually gonna say yes.
God bless the
Because
Italian.
I'm gonna say yes because I've seen some jolly that aren't super gory but have a lot of sex, and I think also people go to giallo for that eroticism. So I'm gonna say yes. I go there for that. Love a sexy movie.
Gray, is there a subgenre that you can think of where sex seems to be more important or nudity seems to be more important than gore?
I can't really think of one. I mean, the closest to me would be body horror because almost everything involves some sort of nudity or some sort of extra appendages. Usually, you require kind of nudity to kind of see what's going on with that. But in almost anything else, I think you can get away with a lot in PG-13. I think you can imply a lot, and you can again use angles. I think it could work for the most part, but yeah, I don't think you'd go to like an erotic thriller and assume it's going to be PG-13 or anything like that. So I think those are really the main ones to me. But I've seen slashers without nudity, and you know it doesn't necessarily feel like it's missing something.
Mm-hmm. So if we're making a PG-13 horror film, and some of the staples from the subgenre are gore. Like I can think of something like Blair Witch Project. The end, like that last shot, that's all you need, and it's just filmed like garbage. But there's nothing gory about that movie. So, can you do stuff without having gore in it and still have like the loyal fan base behind it? Because it feels like that's one of the staples. Like Cody said, Friday the 13th, you got to have tits. Can you
Sounds like
you
that.
Direct quote.
He does say that a lot.
There's
I
your
need that
pull
to be on a
quote.
poster somewhere, like the trailer for the new one. Like, gotta have tits. ... Cody Leach.
Cody Leach says, "Gotta have tits." But I feel like there are some fan bases where if you do something and neuter a certain element of it, like they'll be bothered, or I don't know. Take it as
Slasher for sure. You do have some that defend it. Usually it's and I get this standpoint sometimes. Usually it's like parents that want to get their kids into horror, but it's like they don't know where the gateway drug needs to be to not like traumatize them. And so you'll get movies like Tarot earlier this year that is in stiff competition for my worst of the year. And you had the people that were not as hard on it as I am. And the most common thing I heard is like, well, I can show this to my kids, or my kids were with me and they had fun, so I had more fun than I would have. But that's a classic example of a movie where like every time there's going to be something, they cut away, or they, the camera moves and you just see like a splatter of blood on the wall, or you hear a scream. And not to say that that's a slasher movie, but you take a Friday the 13th or a Nightmare on Elm Street or whatever, and you try that, I wouldn't want to be that director.
Yeah.
I won't assume for anybody, but I grew up watching like Nickelodeon, whenever they had Are You Afraid of the Dark or things like that. And for the life of me, I can't think of an example, but what was the closest thing to gore in a children's version of horror that you could think of? I probably should have wrote that one down. I apologize.
No, you're good. There's an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark where there's like this pool monster. and it comes out and it's all red, and it always looks like blood and guts, even though it's supposed to be like algae, I think. But that's one that sticks in my mind that was always like bordering on that line. Like the way that it's just so dark red when it comes out of the water, it literally looks like an inside out body with some algae on it.
That's awesome.
Dead man's
Yeah.
float.
Yeah, that's a good one. I feel like half of the SpongeBob episodes were like body horror. Well, I was like, this is a lot.
Popping his arms off.
Yeah, literally.
Ironically, see, I can't remember if there was anything necessarily directly gore-like, but there were instances where a character might be turned inside out. Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like
They used to scare me growing up.
Me too.
That
It was
kind of
freaky.
explains why I'm like this.
Yeah.
You know? But I think there was at least one point where Courage, when he was being scared, his heart literally came out of his mouth, and you're like, shit. He's
That
fine.
sounds awesome.
He's fine. He's fine. Okay.
I guess you could probably count the Simpsons Treehouse Horrors in that category.
Oh, yeah.
too, because
They
Like
go
a-
for it.
I feel like I have to point out like Scooby Doo on Zombie Island. Like when they
One of
like
the
turn into like
Yeah.
cat people, I was so scared of
Mhm.
that as a kid. I was like, what the fuck do you mean they're cats?
I was freaked out by the zombies there.
Yeah,
thank
the
you.
zombies were freaky too.
Oh, they're real. Perfect. And actually, there's this moment, and I pointed it out. I think.
There
Nice.
Hey.
Where's my- but there's this point
Represent.
a scene in the movie that I pointed out as being kind of freaky for me as a kid. Chills every time, even now. Scooby and Shaggy are on their own. They were trying to eat crawdads just by themselves, not disturbed by the cats and all that. Zombies coming out of the lake. There's one on the van that they managed to whip off the van against the tree, and it holds on that. It just stays there for a minute, and then you hear the zombie groan and it starts to move. I'm like, I'm out. No, thank you. Goodbye. And when they try to take the mask off, it's the whole head that comes off.
Right.
I was like, best Scooby Doo ever.
But yeah, the chat points out the Ren and Stimpy too. Like that was pretty constant
Mhm.
body
Oh
horror.
yeah,
I
and
dug it.
All Real Monsters. That shit was weird.
Ah,
yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
God, I love that show.
This makes sense now.
Are we considering like anything PG-13 to be kind of made for kids, or
I mean, I
Like
guess
teenagers for
it-
sure.
it's one of those things where
Not everything.
get away
but-
with
Gremlins?
Yeah.
Is Gremlins gory? Like none of it is human blood, but like they put one in a blender and stuff.
One gets blown
I
up
don't
in the
know.
microwave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird how they get away with that as long as it's like somehow not
Cutesy.
blood. Like Multiverse of Madness, the Doctor Strange 2, where it looks like she's getting covered in blood and it's just like red oil or something like that from machines. And so it looks like a Sam Raimi Evil Dead scene. And it's
Yeah,
like, no,
finally.
it's just oil. PG-13, please.
I mean, technically, The Last Jedi did that too, where like the planet, it was salt, but it looked like a bloodied up like war situation. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, is that all you need to do? Is just tell people this red stuff is actually motor oil? So
Didn't they do
we're
that
good.
in Psycho? Didn't they get away with the rating because they said it's chocolate syrup
Chocolate
in the
syrup.
bathtub instead of blood?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Pretty
it's
much.
fucking weird. A little tricks that you can pull.
That's like on TikTok too. They don't let you show any blood, but if you make it black and white, then you can get away with it.
Ah.
Same thing.
Correct.
Really?
Yeah.
What? I don't know if anybody has the answer to this, but why is it okay if it's not in color? Or
Because the ratings board is stupid.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
The MPAA is batshit.
So true.
yeah, the whole one fuck. You're allowed one fuck in a PG-13. Like, why is only one? Like, you
And
can
why
get-
does it always have to be this moment? Like if they actually go for it, it's always
Well, you
like
only
they,
get the
they
one.
lean into it. They're like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. The only one they got. There it is, everybody.
it seems like they're more concerned about sex and language than they are about gore. because like all the examples you listed, as long as you say "ouch" and not "fuck," you can rip her leg off and it's fine, as long as the blood is green or whatever. But I mean, we've kind of all referenced some things that were probably really gory for us as kids and cartoons and things. Are we not giving kids enough credit, or are they perhaps seeing too much?
I mean, I
turned out
think
fine.
it all scarred me in a great way. I love it. Temple of Doom also got brought up. That's kind of gore and body horror at the same time. Like, kind of dig that. Yeah, saw that way too young, but loved it. I don't think it screwed me up, but maybe.
I'm raising all my kids on all the shit that I watch. So if I'm
Yeah.
fucked up, I'm carrying on the tradition.
He's running an experiment live.
Yeah, put away Bluey. Here's Ren and Stimpy.
This is Child's Play 3.
Yeah. You
Put it
joke.
this way. The stuff that traumatized me as a kid rarely, if ever, involved gore. It was always So
Pennywise. That was the only one that got to me when I was little.
Yeah.
Same.
Really?
Yeah.
So for me, it was weird. Large Marge from Pee-wee's whatever Big Adventure or whatever. I don't know why. It's just like you don't even see it. It's
She's
just like from behind.
terrifying.
And yeah, I don't get it, but yeah, traumatized me. So I don't know.
Yeah, my mom, when I was little, always watched MTV, and something that
Traumatizing.
well, for different reasons. But there was that. I feel like someone's watching me or something. I think it's Blackwell that sang it. It was a featured Michael Jackson, but it had like a mailman, and his hand was that of a zombie, and like that lived with me for a very long time, and I cannot explain why. But it was just a thing where I was like, mailmen can have zombie hands. And
trust the man.
that's all that computed in my mind. And I can't tell you half of things I did in school, but I could tell you exactly what that hand looked like.
It was always shadows when I was young. It would just if a shadow looked like something that I could assign something to it. I remember the way my door was cracked one night. It cast a shadow that literally looked like a really cartoonish version of Dracula. And I felt like for hours I was like, it's like not even blinking. Like you see the sun coming up behind me and shit.
Well, you bring up shadows. The other one that like really traumatized me as a kid was Ghost. Like it's not even a horror movie. I mean, like I guess there's ghosts, but like man, those shadow people. Like I don't know why, but that just freaked me out. And yeah, I just always thought shadows would have a life of their own. Also, like the Peter Pan thing. You know, I don't know.
Mine is like people smiling for too long. Like I remember as a kid, the first episode of Courage with Freaky Fred, I was like,
oh, yeah.
why do you keep smiling? And even now, I'm like very uncomfortable by people who smile for too long.
When you grow up,
yeah,
the guy that brings a whole different uneasiness, I think.
It
But
does.
you don't get it. You don't get it. It's just he looks weird.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think something you were referencing, Gray, is that I would say when I think of that thing from Ghost, I don't think of the shadows so much, and we'll stick with you for this very good reason. Does sound
Thinking the pottery wheel?
does sound put that much more, I don't know, disturbing nature to things?
I mean, I don't know that you can have a jump scare like as effective without sound, but I don't know. Usually it's not the sounds that kind of stuck with me as a kid, but I don't know. You definitely know what kind of movie you're watching based off of the sounds. It definitely adds to the elements, the atmosphere for sure. But
I'm sorry.
I don't
Do
know.
you think,
There's some real minimal horror sound, and I dig it.
well, do you think you could imply gore and not show anything, but give a sound like?
Yes. Yeah. No, that's what sells it. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, I completely misinterpreted what you were saying. Yeah. Oh, I love Foley. Yeah. Some of my favorite stuff is we had to learn to like do like bone crunches and stuff, and it's like celery stalks were great, but man, some of those like wet hits that like it was awesome. We would just put a whole bunch of mics in front of like a whole bunch of fruits and vegetables and just kind of test it out. But man, that's really what sells it. Usually you've got zero sound with any special effects shot you're going with, and just the sound, that's totally what makes it seem a lot gorier than it actually is. I love it. Yeah, that adds a huge element.
Oh yeah, it definitely does. I don't know if anybody has everybody seen Apartment 7A.
Yes.
I haven't seen
Okay.
No.
that.
Yeah, and this isn't really like it's like the whole point of the movie is when she gets like an injury.
The ankle.
And yes,
Mm.
the ankle scene. And we watched it at Fantastic Fest, but I literally had a panic attack. I had to leave the theater.
Oh my god, no.
A good crunch on that scene.
Because it's like such a loud crunch, and then it's like, her ears like deafen, and like if none of that was in there, and if it was like really minimal, I'd have been like, oh, this is fine. But I like had to run to the bathroom, and I was like, like I had to like hold water on me. I was like, this is too much.
I think about
But
that.
Terrifier 3, I was fine.
There you go. I think about that shot in Stir of Echoes with the fingernail snap.
Oh,
like,
yes.
I'm
yeah.
sure
Can't
a
get that
fingernail
out.
doesn't have a sound. It would just pull back and you hear
Yeah.
a scream, but like just that
Yeah.
little sound.
Exactly. Oh, God.
The rest of the panel, do you think that just suggesting gore would that be enough? Like, you don't show anything, but you imply that there's heavy duty gore and you're hearing it. Is that enough to get parents freaked out?
It could be worse, because
I mean,
Gigi brought up the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Things are implied. You never see a hook entering a character's back.
Yeah.
You're just given the implication, and your brain provides the rest, and you think, "Holy shit, it could be worse." For parents, like, "Oh my god, this was so gory." You didn't see anything. It was just a shadow and a splat. It was so gory.
Yeah.
So,
Do you think stuff like that would earn an R rating? Like, not seeing anything, but just hearing it or it being implied in some way, shape,
I think
or
it
form?
depends on how prevalent it is, because isn't not that there's a lot of implied gore in it, but it wasn't The Conjuring rated R just because of how like quote unquote scary it was. Like, it's not gory, there's not profanity, but it was so intense that they pushed it one rating
Yeah.
further. So
And
it
there
could be
was
one of
like
those examples.
exactly, because it's like we don't ever, if I'm not mistaken, we don't ever see them hanging, but we could.
Yeah.
It's like that's what's happening. So it's like
Mhm.
I couldn't. If I showed a kid that, I'd be like, oh, my bad. That is traumatizing.
oh, she's just
You know
swinging
what's
hard.
happening. Yeah, she's just swinging.
Well, like that's
Never has to babysit again.
Gigi, you brought up the TikTok rules. I put a warning up before for this. This will not be. It won't be approved for AdSense because we're just talking about it.
Oh yeah, yeah. When I tried to do the kill rankings, I just got demolished by YouTube on every single time I tried it.
Yeah. God.
Do you think maybe ratings should be a bit more universal? Because it feels like, in some areas you could show it, some areas you can't show it. If you make it black and white, it's okay. Like, wouldn't it be fair to say that all audience members are quite different, and things what will trigger them is different for everybody?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's so true because it's like, I mean, kind of like what I just said about like Terrifier 3. It's like that, like excessive like blood. I mean, all the Terrifier, like excessive blood really doesn't trigger me. There's like, I feel like there are far more like other gorier movies to me that trigger me more because I'm like, ew, that's my ick, not blood. Like
Mhm.
in The Audition when she makes him slurp up vomit. I'm like,
Oh
that
my god,
Oh.
yeah. Oh.
that's my ick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Anything with puke is my ick. Yeah.
I'm like, that gets me more than a bunch of hacking up people. So, yeah, no, totally.
hmm Yeah, there's a scene in what is it, Hellraiser, whatever the one before the remake.
Oh, that one.
And yeah, I'm not. My brain does not have room for all the subtitles those fucking movies. But talking about the ick thing, like I've seen goriest of gore, never been affected. But there's something in that movie where they have like these demons, like literally like swapping saliva, and it's along those same lines. And I almost threw up just describing it in my review on camera. I was like, they're doing this. And I left it in the video. I'm like, I swear to God, that was not fake.
That's
Mhm.
foul.
Yeah.
I've seen same like what G said. There was a time before I started YouTube or really even watched horror movies that much, where I would just watch these little like lists of like the worst scenes or the creepiest scene or whatever, and I would see things from like Cannibal Holocaust. I'm like, whatever. I would see things from a whole bunch of other shit. Hostel. Doesn't matter. It's fine. They get to the point where the guy is literally leaning down to the dog bowl. I'm like, we gotta fast forward
Yeah.
to this. Thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah. Gross. Ugh.
Not to put anyone out there, but I'm gonna dox you.
Well,
Can everybody name something that they're just not a fan of that probably wouldn't get an R PG-13 rating? Like me, it's being in tight places, like
claustrophobia.
yeah, like Buried. That I'm sweating through that movie. It's rough. Or Crawl
Oh,
or
yeah.
Die. That's just tension, and it's worse with the anxiety because they're in this tunnel. But as the movie gets on, it's just tighter and tighter and tighter. It may not be that great to some people, but because the tight nature in which everything is like they've got nowhere to go, that freaks me out, and I'm almost certain that probably wouldn't get anywhere close to an R rating just for being packed in a little compact area.
Yeah. No, you took mine. Like The Descent, I think them crawling
Yeah.
through cracks in the walls and everything like that is more tense than the fucking monsters in a big old open room.
Oh, totally.
Like I don't know how people do the underwater cave diving. I'm like, do you just want to die? Like I don't. What
No.
are you doing?
Terrifying.
Oh,
Yeah.
on death.
It's like the most. Like, this is the most dramatic way of. I was going to say the word. Never mind. We're live.
Game ending yourself.
Yeah, the most dramatic way of that ever.
Yeah, see that? Like that's kind of what we're talking about. Like really, we're talking about everything. We
Hi,
can't say the
YouTube.
magic word.
Yeah.
Well, I'm almost certain we're getting clicked here, but
I can't imagine why.
Dice, is there what is it? Is it vomit? That's something
Well,
that
I'm not terribly fond. See, I'm
Dog
not terribly
bowls?
fond of that. Yeah, well, dog bowls. You know, I'm not fond of that. I've noticed if it's more realistic, not fond, but I could probably get over that eventually. But I think that some things that will automatically just make the anxiety spike right the fuck up would be claustrophobic spaces, heights. So things like the one that was somewhat recent where they climbed the pole in the middle of nowhere.
Fall.
Oh, God.
I have
yeah.
yet to watch that just because I've seen certain clips. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah.
and
There's Frozen, the fucked up one, which
Oh,
they're stuck
yeah.
on a
not
On
the
the
musical
lift.
one.
The steep.
Yeah. Not the
Yeah.
musical.
This is not Disney. That one also, yeah, I'm like, maybe eventually. Another one, I think I've gotten a little bit better about this over time, but another one that every once in a while can kind of sneak up on me and trigger some anxiety is things that deal with submechanophobia, which I'm not sure if everybody's
that
terribly
masturbating
familiar
with a machine.
Yeah, I was so
You know what?
confused. I don't actually know what that is.
We might start calling it that, though. That's interesting.
Like
no,
Tetsu the
New fear
Iron Man?
unlocked.
Like, what are we saying?
not exactly. I mean, it's the best way I could put it is Jaws, because I know it's not a real shark. I know it's a robot, but it's in the water and it looks freaky, and I don't like
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
It could be partially or completely submerged. If it's a big animatronic, no.
That's less scary than the word you used.
Yeah, but that's not my
Yeah.
fault. I didn't come up with it. I just have it. I deal with it. What do you want from me?
Celise, is there something that freaks you out that probably wouldn't be that big a deal for people?
I've got 3. I've got puke.
Nice.
For sure puke at any point. No thanks. Centipedes at any point. It's going to be a hard fucking no. I have a phobia. And needles. Needle. Like, I love the substance, but every needle scene was like, I had to look away. I
and
felt like I was going to puke.
That's like every scene.
Big
Yeah.
needles too.
Girl, I can't even get my blood drawn. I'm like, okay, I'm going to look this way. And they're like, are you going to pass out? And I'm like, no, I just can't look at it. You know, like it's a thing.
Bring me the orange and cookie immediately.
Yeah.
Was that you said 3? Puke,
Yeah.
needle. Well, how are you during Saw 2? The needle scene.
Fucked up. Yeah, the needle thing.
Oh gosh,
Can't watch
yeah,
that.
that's a
watch
rough
that.
one.
It's
Mm.
really rough. Yeah, and the screaming and no.
Yeah.
The more I think about it, the more I think
No.
sound is way more important than the visual, because the sound lives with you for for some reason. I
Mhm.
don't know
Mm.
how to explain it, but at least me, I don't know.
I think it kind of
Gray's.
works in tandem if it's done well.
Mhm.
Because
Oh
you get the
yeah,
visual, that's the immediate punch, and then
Yeah.
the sound will sink in.
yeah, and yeah.
What
Your
sells
brain
it?
automatically has them synced. Like here's
Yeah.
your nightmares for the next 10 years. Gray, is there something that freaks you out that maybe wouldn't be that big a
Yeah.
deal?
I mean, in real life, kind of everything that everyone's mentioned, but especially like tight quarters. Like I could never go spelunking, and I can't go through that. But for some reason, I don't have an issue with it on film. Like I get it, and it's like really cool. I love that they're putting in a bunch of reverb, really closing in the sound.
Hmm.
But what always gets me is bugs for some reason. I totally get the centipede thing. I don't know, like the aforementioned Temple of Doom, like just I don't know, putting your hands into it. Like I'm sorry if I had to do it for you, Charles, you'd be dead. I'm really sorry.
That could
Dead.
happen.
I don't know. But yeah, it's usually bugs, man. They get me, and specifically roaches. I don't know why. I just no deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Gigi, how about you?
Um, yes, I don't have a problem with bugs, but cockroaches, that's a big ick for me. No, absolutely not. That's disgusting. And then any type of like bone cracking, yeah, I can't. That's too much for me. That's a lot. And this is a really random one. I don't know why it freaks me out so much. But people's ankles being grabbed, I hate that. Like when they're in bed and their like ankles get tugged, or when they're running up the stairs and their ankles get tugged.
Wait, just
That
grabbed, just tugged?
yeah,
Not
or like oh no. Well, also if they get
The
So
Achilles.
like Pet
yeah.
Cemetery.
yeah, like that. But
Yeah.
The Pet
Oh,
Cemetery?
the
Classic.
Achilles tendon.
it's because
Yeah.
it's just so vulnerable, you're like, it's so, it gives me, I remember, I think it's Halloween, like the Halloween reboot. I literally had to watch that with like my knees up because they get their ankles grabbed so much in that movie. I was like, I fucking hate this.
At Overlook, I'm gonna be like, Seth, grab Gigi's ankle and you'll be fine.
Oh no, totally. My oldest brother, that's his favorite thing to do.
Yeah. See, I feel like the ankles, like I'm thinking of the scene from Pet Cemetery where Judd gets the Achilles cut. Also, Judd, it's a twofer for me because he gets his
Ugh.
Chelsea smile thing.
And then
Yeah.
like some of this eaten.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know if there's any other parts of the body that just kind of freak you out, but I think
What about the neck?
that's all right for
that's-
me for some weird reason.
Yeah, the eyes. Like, there's some
Ooh,
amazing
eyes.
ones, and I love the effects, but something about the eye, like, it always makes me wince.
Yeah.
So does
Yeah.
Cody, did you have any other ones other than?
I agreed with yours, but another one that it has to be like in the most extreme version, like just like for example, like infested or
Ooh.
sting, but like spiders like entering somebody's mouth
Oh
or
god.
something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Like I don't like spiders, but I'm not like terrified of them. But that's the one thing. Like if they show a scene where somebody's paralyzed and it's just like
Yeah.
goes in, I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I actually just thought of one, and I think it's because there is no, to my knowledge, there's no real name for it. I don't know if this would resonate with anybody else.
You mean
but
it's
for
not like
some reason-
machiniconophobia or whatever?
No, no. If there's a name, I've not found out.
We're gonna make one tonight.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
exactly.
Good luck. It's got to be Latin. Okay, combine it. But if there is I see this mostly in stuff that's done by like indie people. There's one person on TikTok where his videos will come up every once in a while. He's very good at making these effects. They have to be mostly digital, but he's very good at it. Creatures that look human are not. Big fucking smiles, small pupils.
Yes.
Fuck that. Fuck.
Kind of like Uncanny Valley.
Ultra specific.
Yeah. Yeah. Somewhat Uncanny Valley, but yeah, that is freaky.
Well, to piggyback on that, do you think if it's something's obviously CG, can you forgive something for being a little too extra gory? Because like you obviously know that. I mean, not like if it's corn syrup, it makes any difference. But like,
It does.
if you have that uncanny, oh no, it does in a positive way. But do you think like if it's CG and you clearly know it's CG, there's some level of, I don't know, positive or negative respect or lack thereof, where it's like, oh, it's gory, but it's stupid. It's
Hello,
computer
Willy's
shit.
Wonderland.
Yeah, I think
It
it
kind
has
of
its
depends
place.
on the genre.
Yeah.
Sorry, Cody. I think we're saying similar thing, but please, you continue.
No, yeah, we're just saying it depends. It has its place. Like the example that comes to my mind was Renfield. It's so over the top and
Oh,
comical and
yeah.
silly, and it's
Yeah.
obviously CG, but it fits that movie.
Mhm.
Whereas if you did that with something like an Evil Dead film, you'd be like, oh no, bullshit. What have you done?
Yeah.
Didn't Abigail
think-
kind of mix too?
I
towards
think
the end
most
there?
horror films
A little
nowadays
bit.
mix it, but there's
Yeah.
some movies where it's like it's just painted. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Like, I just think body horror is something like you need to have something substantial to it. Like the Thing remake did not have quite the same
Oh,
I don't know,
Yeah.
push as that original one. Like there is something to having like even if it's a puppet, even if it's a miniature, like something authentic there, and then just augment it as opposed to just something CG. But for like gunshots and everything, like oh yeah, it works great. Like I'm totally cool with that if it's like a 3-second pan where a bunch of guys are supposed to get hit or something. Great CG. Like
yeah.
I don't know. Do you differ, Charles? Do you think no CG, no deal?
Oh, I'm thinking of like the Resident Evil movies. Not anything recently, but a lot of the sequels, like when the dog's head like opens up and turns into a thing. Like it was very obvious. Like, come on, man, you can do better than that. What is this? And like I actually like lost respect for the film for like being so cartoony, and a bunch of other reasons.
Ah,
I was gonna say that's what did it for you.
Yeah.
it was one step.
But yeah, it that like literally became a cartoon at a certain point. Like when I don't know which one it is, where they're like dodging bullets, and like you could just see the whooshing, and it
3D?
it might have been the 3D one, Wesker, I think.
Afterlife, yeah.
Was it Afterlife? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like this is what is this? This is bad. This
You're cheating.
You shouldn't have done this. I
um,
usually find it laughable.
Yeah.
Not
Char, are you
Same.
asking too, like, are you asking, like, is it less, like, freaky for us if we can see that it's, like, CGI? Like, if it was, like, CGI cockroaches?
well, yeah. So sure. If it's something that normally freaks you out,
Oh,
if it's
okay, okay.
FX, if it's it's CG, or you're like, oh, this, I'd normally be scared, but fuck this.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, I can't even think of, but there was something that had like a cockroach scene, and it was like, because sometimes it's like it looks very realistic, and then other times you're like, oh, they didn't have the budget for this, and you're like, this is less freaky.
Yeah, it's kind of like a joke at that point. It's like, what are
Yeah.
we doing here? Yeah.
Yeah.
It should be, but like there's this really horrible old MTV movie. I think it's like Joe's Apartment, where it's got all these CG like living roaches that have personalities and stuff. That still freaked me the hell out. Like, and it's really bad CG. Like, I don't know. It should affect me less though, but no.
It's interesting, I guess, for what I pointed out, because I know for one, with the like submechanophobia, it has to be practical. It
This
has to be
word
practical
is-
for it to work.
Yeah.
This word
I
is
just read
killing
something like-
Charles. It's like,
Okay, so if
Partially
somebody
submerged animatronic thingies.
if somebody
it has to be
paints
practical.
a submarine as a shark, does that scare you?
Is it in the water?
it's got to be
Submarine?
submerged in the. Yeah.
I mean, I've gotten better over time. It used to be great white sharks. I've gotten better over time with that, but there's still, depending, I might get a little like jump scare effect from some things once in a while. You would think that if it looked less realistic, it wouldn't be so bad. It depends. It depends for me.
Wait, so what about like a boat propeller?
That's not
is
such a bad thing for me.
really, because it'll chop your legs up.
Sure. Swift death that doesn't involve this weird looking thing with teeth. Great. Perfect.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I have another phobia word that I've learned. Apparently, I have agoraphobia, and hearing that word makes me think, oh, something hideous and gory.
Bloody.
But,
Yeah.
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 but it's
no.
not wanting to leave the house. So that word doesn't match the sickness or whatever the hell it's called. But
The issue.
some of these words, I'm going to know whatever the hell one it is you said by now, but machine paraphernalia. What was it again?
Well, if I break it down, I was able to remember it better myself. Sub, so it's like in water.
Mm-hmm.
Mechana, so it's like animatronics, and phobia.
Submechanophobia.
Wow.
Man, they'll make words for
I
everything.
want to know. Yeah, I was gonna say, how
You
many
learn
people have to
something
be
new
afraid of
every
something
day.
before it gets its own term?
No, seriously, yeah.
I don't know. People realize it's
just
become an
dice.
interesting. Yeah, it's just, I just made
There's
it,
a form
I
online.
made
You
it
just-
up.
yeah, I need a name for this.
So I'm gonna drag you all down with me. It's I don't know why, but it's become this in somewhat recent years, which is how I found out there's a fucking word for it. I just thought Jaws. That's it, just Jaws. But
As long as
people
you're
have been
going with
putting-
that one, you
Wait,
could also
so, like,
use
if
one for the
any-
vomit. Emetophobe.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
There's something for that. It's I don't. I mean, I'm not afraid of it. I'm just like.
So, like,
That's all.
Dice, I know you're like into FNAF. If any of Five Nights at Freddy's are under,
Oh.
Ooh.
you're like
Oh.
not with it. You're not with the shits. You're like, fuck that.
Oh, that would be an interesting thing because so far, I think if Scott Cawthon did that in any of the games, I'm not aware, but
don't think so.
that would be interesting because I think that would. First of all, I've noticed that if it's bigger than I am, problem. It's probably that. Which, granted, most of them are fucking huge.
Yeah.
But if it's say like the 4 characters of the FNAF games, just on their own on stage, yeah, they're kind of creepy, but I'm more interested than creeped out. If you put them in water and I'm in the water, I don't know about that. Maybe not as terrifying as some other things, but a little unsettling, perhaps.
Wild.
Interesting.
So, Elise, what about you? Is there something that, if it was CGI and very clearly like a bad job, would you not be as freaked out by something? Like if you could clearly see, oh, this is dumb. This is cartoon shit.
Yeah, I think CGI like centipedes. I would be like,
Yeah.
this sucks.
This is bullshit.
Like I would just laugh at it. Real centipedes though, I'm crying. I'm on the floor. Turn it off.
Yeah,
I need to call my therapist immediately.
it's
Yeah.
weird. It's like the opposite of what Dice says about machines underwater. If a bug is small, I if it's too small, I no, that
Well,
thing
you
could
lose
live in my
track of
ear
it
and I
then.
wouldn't even know.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh.
Thank you. No, thank
Yeah,
you.
that's a new fear.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I had somebody at work tell me one time years ago that like he came into work and he was all tired. Like, what happened? And he kept getting like this scratching noise inside of his eardrum.
Stop it. No.
And he's like, man, all
Oh,
night
no,
I
no,
couldn't
no.
sleep. And then all of a sudden had his wife look into it. She's like, there's a leg. And she's like,
Oh,
alcohol, put alcohol. And it was like an earwig. But I just
Oh,
I just think of like something in there just doing that all night long.
No,
That's
no, no,
foul. No, just sleep with like nylon on my head.
Yeah.
I'm putting the headphones on
Duct tape
tonight,
everything except for
Oh
nostrils.
my God. Jesus.
I cannot
and then
tell
your
you.
wife gets a new fear.
I cannot tell you where I heard it, but I know it stuck with me. Where some piece of information was the average human sucks up 7 spiders over the course of their life in their sleep, and I was
Thanks.
like,
Yeah.
oh, so I probably
have-
got a couple. Was it you?
No.
You
but
have?
I'm not. No. I have some information about that.
No.
I thought Dice was gonna be like, I've been slurping
Yeah.
spiders.
Rookie numbers.
Yes.
It's just the average.
It's fine. So it's a little hairy on the way down. It's fine. No, I have some information regarding that, which is I had heard the same fucking thing for the longest time, and then I find out that a woman made that up just to prove a point on how far rumors can travel.
Mm.
So
I did
don't
hear it was debunked. Yeah.
Mm.
Oh,
Sadistic bitch.
yeah.
Yes.
Damn.
Spread
It
the
worked.
lies.
Yeah.
I've been not swallowing gum for years because of stuff. Like
Oh yeah.
So, does anybody feel like gore serves an artistic purpose? Like, do you feel like gore like proves itself as needed. And as far as I guess the reference I made to Gone Girl, like it feels like it needed to be there, and if you take it out, it doesn't have the same punch. But does Gore have a purpose that feels necessary within a subgenre or within a film, or whatever element it may be, maybe be visual, or like we kind of talked about briefly, that audio certainly does a lot. Does it have an artistic merit to it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
can.
all the movies that we talked about where gore is like whether it be body horror or slashers, like I mean, you look at something like, we keep bringing up this example like Terrifier. I know some people think that it's abhorrent, but how realistic they make
Yeah.
that stuff look. Like, there's a lot of artistry that goes into like creating something that looks like a actual human body being torn apart. Whether it's your thing or not, sure. But I mean, going all the way back to like the 80s, like Tom Savini, like we wouldn't have people like that are on this Mount Rushmore if there wasn't some kind of artistic merit to it. Like, nobody would know the name of people that make blood and latex look real. And you get names like that throughout the generations that are just like the guys doing it. Like Boutine, the guy that did it for The Thing, and a bunch of movies, or American Werewolf in London. That whole thing happening, like that's the scene of the movie that won an Academy Award.
They
So
created that category, actually.
yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Even more so.
They created it and won it at the same time.
Yeah.
The Dice Award.
I would throw in the series Hannibal,
Yeah,
because that's
yeah.
artistic at that point.
So
It's
artistic. It's like beautiful. It's
sculpture.
kind of like Giallo.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Yes.
so artistic with the way they do it.
Yeah, very much. It's like grotesquely beautiful. It's weird.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
so weird. You're
That's a
kind of sitting
person's
there
body.
in awe
You
of it.
just-
You're like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
maybe everyone tomorrow going, why am I hungry?
I know you're dead as fuck, but you look great.
You're serving.
We kind of talked about it a couple of times. The Substance. Do you think the same message can come across if they didn't, like, the third act is just body horror galore? Do you think they could get the same, kudos and credits if they scaled back on some of that? Because I feel like
No, not the same film if it's PG-13. Like, I don't see that going nearly as far. Even if they use like great angles and everything, just, man, what they put there is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's like a couple of, because obviously, like at the very end, when it's just, it gets to a point where it's like, oh, this is almost like comical because it's like very over the top. So I think there's some things that could have been like left out and still packed the same punch, but not anything that had to do with like the actual transformation of the body. If anything that had to do with like the transformation or any of like the actual body horror type stuff, if like, I think if the bloody parts were left out, it would still pack the same punch. Does that make sense?
yes.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I think that's the point of the movie, is they're attacking beauty standards by like having the most grotesque imagery
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, like when they do close-ups of Quaid eating
Oh.
shrimp,
Oh,
Yeah.
and
Wow.
again, going back to the sound, it's just like, do I need to hear his mouth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I-
Fair
Go ahead.
enough. Maybe they don't need the cannons of blood at the end, like kind of
Yeah.
spraying the entire audience. But I love the point. Like, it really
Oh, I
takes me
loved
into
it.
that like Raimi part. Like, I don't know.
Totally.
It
Mhm.
maybe not necessary, but I guess you would say the same for like most of them. Then, like most of the Raimi ones, they tend to use like copious amounts of blood.
Yeah.
I think it adds to it, and it's
Yeah.
artistic in a way. But
So I guess what I would say is something like Substance. The messaging is pretty clear that Demi Moore's character is having a fight with her younger self, or her split off version of herself, and you can get that without giving us the things that happen in the third act, where it's just a fear of getting old and kind of screwing yourself over. I think you could, I mean, on a simple level, like if you just showed her aging, like gray hair, wrinkles, or something like that, I think you can get away with the same message as it does if you scaled back the gore. So I guess what we're all saying is it wouldn't be as effective.
Yeah, and I think it depends on what your definition of gore is. Like, is gore
Yeah.
just the blood, or is gore her back opening up? Is gore the
Sutures.
Hunchback of Notre Dame
Right.
thing that comes
Yeah.
out at some
Right.
point? Like,
Bubblegum monster.
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
face on the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or her teeth.
Mhm.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Okay. How are we on time, everyone?
I'm
Good.
good.
Pretty good.
Solis,
Yeah, I'm good.
do you mind if I open it up to the floor?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. So I will start with the super chats. Thank you to those of you in the chat. Marcy 17 Danish Kona Tak. Hi, girls and guys and girls and all in between. Right on. Hello
Thank
there.
you.
Marcy 17 Danish Krona again. Thank you. Effective horror can be PG-13, but slasher R-rated.
I think for the most part, I agree.
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't know. They've done a couple that weren't exactly like. I don't know. The best slashers are R for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I think the ones I was given the examples of the good ones is where, like, the slasher's kind of like this backdrop element. It's not the
Yeah.
point of the movie. Like, Happy Death Day is more of a Groundhog Day film than a slasher film to me, but it's technically a PG-13 slasher. So if a slasher's the point, I think you draw a lot of attention to what's missing when it's PG-13.
Yeah.
Christian, $2. Thank you. Lack of tension that leads to a scare. The Thing. Lack of tension that leads to a scare. The Thing.
Explain.
Not sure.
Yeah.
I
Confused
understand.
by that. Yeah.
Thought he was about to
Like-
say
That
the
made me
thing
so
lacks
tense.
tension. I was like, who is this?
Is that a haiku?
I'm like, wait, is the thing lacking tension? I'm confused.
Maybe they're asking for an
Maybe for them.
example of scare scenes that have a lack of tension that lead up to it. Like,
Christian, just follow up
mean-
that, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Cody.
no, I was thinking maybe that's what they're asking. Like, can you think of examples of a scare that's preceded by a lack of tension? But I don't know if the thing is an example. Like, I think the blood test scene is very tense.
Oh yeah.
Would you
Yeah.
consider that
Different
gore though? I don't know if that scene would
Well, I don't think
count
they weren't asking about gore. They just said
tension.
tension.
I mean,
Tension.
it's blood. I don't know. It's just showing the blood. Like, you're just stabbing it with a needle. But
It's gore after the person starts shaking.
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
the little thing just grabbing dudes' heads.
Go ahead, Gray.
Sorry, I said like. So, are we only going with gore if it's human stuff? Like, so Tremors is PG-13. There's a lot of graboid heads being ripped off, blown off, like whatever. It gets thrown out of a mountain and kind of smashes in a very iconic way. Like, that's gory, but none of it's human blood. Is that gory or no? Humans don't bleed a ton in that.
I don't know.
I haven't
That's
seen it.
It's kind of funny because that's like
Oh.
the same, back to the conversation where it's like, you know, they could get away with it if it's not like human or if it's like a human's blood, but it's green or something like that. Because, yeah, I feel like that is like gory, but not human gore.
Yeah.
Charles, you've never seen Tremors, man?
I have not.
Oh, be
Oh,
prepared
it's
for a
so
new favorite
fun.
Kevin Bacon
Yeah,
film.
it's fun.
Oh,
So fun.
okay, interesting.
Slithering over the
Manny's Manic Media's got Final Girls 2015 Best PG-13 Slasher. Have all of you seen the Final Girls?
I have
No.
not, unfortunately, but
Oh,
I've always heard
wow.
good things.
I have, but
Been a
many
minute.
years ago.
So-
I don't remember it.
All right, so I guess I'm on an island here. I feel like that's a movie that it's good, but it very clearly is missing that rating. Like that R rating is. I mean, it goes to what Cody said earlier. That they have a scene where like a woman shows her top half to distract a killer, but you know they don't.
You've
really-
already said tits like 17 times. Yeah, we're gonna get
already out on
PG-13
the
now
accents.
at the
Yeah.
end.
It's fucking-
Yeah,
Top half.
so she flops some titties, right? Yeah, I don't know. I can't explain how my brain works. But I feel like that is a movie that it actually is hindered due to the fact that it restricts itself. So I think you're onto something, Cody. I mean, it's a good movie. I would suggest everyone to watch it, but I feel like with gore, with nudity, it could hit harder. Like it feels like it's got a ceiling, and it might be that rating. Would you agree with that, Celise? Do you
For the
remember?
Final Girls,
Yeah,
I'm so sorry. I
It's
barely
alright.
remember. I watched it once.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's a good point. I agree. I agree that it's a good reference, but I think it needs to be R.
Well, you could think of like I brought up the example earlier, like Friday the 13th Part 7. Like that's one of the ones that got hit the hardest by the MPAA, and that's always one of my biggest issues with that movie. I'm like, it's dumb, and I don't really get into the Jason Carey thing, but like if I could see the kills, I might really enjoy it. But that's the biggest thing about that movie. It's like, why am I even here? Can't even see any of the what we're here for.
Yeah. It's kind of like Megan. It's like same thing. I never watched the unrated version
man.
that they released.
It's barely even worth making us think about. Like the ear stretches a little further,
Oh,
and
yeah.
there's like a 1 second shot of the power washer on the face. Like,
Oh,
I watched that with my daughter because she loved Megan.
yeah.
And I watched that one. Like, okay, let's see what they did, and I'm like, you could have released this cut as PG-13.
Yeah. So
Every time.
that's interesting.
Yeah,
'Cause,
it was just
that
the language. It was just they said fuck like 8 more times.
Yeah, that was one where I was like, I feel like I would have enjoyed this more because it had like its weird, kitschy comical moments where I was like, if this had more like blood and gore, I could have appreciated that more.
Agreed.
Gavin, $5 super chat. Thank you. Do you think a Final Destination movie would work without gore?
Absolutely not.
No,
Don't even
not at
try it.
all.
Don't give them ideas.
It's like part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what? How could you do the roller coaster scene without
Yes.
that,
I feel like you'd just be like it's edging the whole movie. You're like
Exactly.
I didn't say that, Cody. It wasn't me.
No,
I
I
doesn't
love
like
that.
good edging though once in a while. I mean, really, come on about it.
We're not getting sponsored at all by any of this. No ads.
It gets sponsored by Adam and Eve.
Here's a challenge: get sponsored by Christian Mingle and Adam and Eve in the same video. Go.
And round it out with some better help.
Better help.
Just right at the end.
Stop.
Takashi Miike's episode of Master of Horror is one of the most grotesque, beautiful things on film. I am
So good.
unfamiliar.
Oh,
Get through
do
the
It's a
yourself a
great
favor.
episode. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, didn't Miike direct Audition too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so
He
there's
inspired a lot of the Hostel. Well, he inspired a lot more, but there's a reason why he has a cameo there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going back to Final Destination really quick, I feel like those movies are, even if you tried to scale things back, I feel like those movies are really built in the premonition moment of the movie, like where they see the worst case scenario of something like oddly enough, I think the highway scene freaks me out more than everything. Like with the water bottle underneath.
We have a lot of those log trucks around here, and I never drive behind them. As soon as I see them,
Yeah.
getting around them.
Think about it every time.
Exactly.
Memorable scene.
Literally yesterday, my brother was driving with me in the passenger seat. Before he even started, he grabs a water bottle from the floorboard and throws it in the back and goes, "That's a hazard." And I said, "Yeah, I've seen the movie.
Oh.
Let's not do that."
Yeah, I just feel like how do you get the same message across
PG-13
without
destination, minor inconveniences.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'm thinking you can probably get away with just putting the bottle under the gas pedal, and like if you're like, oh shit, or just drive a Cybertruck or something, and that's all.
Just no water bottle needed, just a Cybertruck. You're fucked. Good luck.
It would really take the teeth out of it. I guess you just show like a car crash like you'd show in any other movie and just say there's no survivors, or you see somebody like step into an elevator shaft that's open or something like that. But it's not going to be what Final Destination is. Like that is kind of about those gruesome deaths. Yeah.
And it's not going to like instill that same fear. Like I feel like a whole generation is just traumatized by Final Destination. It's like it's because we saw the aftermath and we saw everything. But it's like if they were just like cut, okay, you know, everyone died. You're like, well, that's not as traumatizing.
Every time I get on a plane, I listen to like noises that are weird. Every time it
Just
shakes,
wait
I'm
for
like,
John Denver.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you hear John Denver, get off.
Yeah.
the fuck are you doing? No.
If the
Landing
tray
now.
table, if the tray table's broken, I'm like, nope. I'll take the next one. The next one. Shit, I saw it and I lost it. So what would it like without having someone, you know, horrified? What would you guys suggest to someone that wants to like? What is the gateway drug for like gore? If you're trying to get, you know,
Martyrs. I'm just kidding.
For a minute, I was like, are you genuine?
We're gonna push them in. They can probably stop.
Damn.
you're going to
Okay,
kindergarten now. Sit down. We're going to show you something.
We're gonna sit down. We're gonna watch something.
It's
called
like
Shivers.
I'm not a Coco Melon mom. I'm a Martyrs mom.
Poltergeist is probably a good one because you got the one scene where
Oh yeah.
face in
I
the
was going to
mirror.
ask about two films. Like Poltergeist is one of them. Is that gory? Because I think that's a gateway one. It's PG-13, but man, like the maggots and the face thing in the mirror just it gets me every time. And supposedly real skeletons in the fun swimming scene.
Oh yeah.
But
to save on costs.
I think
The
that's like
headstone?
where I would go with it.
Yeah. My daughter just saw me watching Scream when I was prepping for a review series, so there was no gateway drug. It was just like, here, you just passed it over.
Here.
What about Drag Me to Hell? So that one's very Raimi, very over the top. Like I love aspects of that, but it's just kind of gross out. But it seems like it's close to some gore, unless I'm misremembering some of it. But I don't know. There's a few PG-13 ones that I would consider a gateway, but does it have to be gore specific, or would it be the way to get to gore?
Well, yeah. I mean, because I don't know about any of you, but my gateway drug horror movie was Friday the 13th Final Chapter, and I was drawn in for the nudity and stayed for the gore, and you know that's like a little 4-year-old version of myself that's like, yep, I'm now a fan for life. Is there like a natural path to being a gore hound, and you know, having it be, I don't know, some sort of progression? Would it be like
Goes
the
downhill from here.
Nickelodeon shit and stuff
Yeah.
like that, or
Show Courage the Cowardly Dog, Ren and Stimpy, and
The Freaky Friend episode.
I kind of feel like you either have it or you don't. For most examples that I know, if you're somebody that does not like gore, like you get squeamish, or it turns you off, or it freaks you out. Like I don't ever meet somebody that grows out of that. And at the same time, anybody that I know that's like a gore hound, they were that way from Jump Street. It wasn't like there was a progression. It was like they watched, you know, Friday the 13th Part 6 on TBS or something, and then from there it was off to the races. And it was that way for me. Like Child's Play, Nightmare on Elm Street, and then it seemed to be the same way with my daughter. Like the thing that I've noticed with my kids is it's specific things that freak them out, and none of it's gore. Like some of it's you know, the sound design or like jump scares, and with other people it's, you know, it might be a specific monster like a vampire or werewolf. But I'm sure there are people, but for me it seems to be like you either like gore or you don't. It's just it's in your DNA or it's not.
Yeah.
how would you find out though? Like how do you?
sit down. We're watching.
So
our-
watch them watch Terrifier and just be like, nope, they're out.
Do you like this?
You're not a
Open
good
your eyes, I
club.
don't-
So if you do, we got martyrs on standby.
I think Gremlins, man. Like I think that is a gateway into it. There's a lot of horror. There's some body horror going on there. There's gore, but it's not necessarily human gore. I think there's a couple people that get bloody, but nothing really. But man, I'd say if you like that taste, then you're gonna progress from there.
Yeah, and what like going to like Cronenberg's The Fly, might be the next step. Right? Something
I mean, you could probably
lighthearted?
start with like, so Manny in the chat mentioned like The Gate from the 80s. That's kind of
Oh,
fun. There's
Yeah.
another one like Cat's Eye. Like it's creepy, but it's not necessarily over the top. They might think there's little trolls in their room, but I think you could work your way there gradually.
I kind of think like I think a lot of shark horror movies could be like gateway too, because it's not like inherently scary where it's like, oh, a slasher like cut their leg off or something. It's like, well, a shark bit it and now it's like a shark bite. And it's still like there are some gory and, moments or some bloody moments. And it's like, well, if you can stomach that, then maybe you can handle a hacksaw between the body. So I don't know.
I think it's the tone of the movie too. Like whenever I was when I met my wife, my oldest son, he was, at that point they're like, he doesn't watch horror, and I was like, well, we're gonna test that. And so once we ended up moving in together, I started showing him movies like Fright Night, like movies that are more fun. You can have a little bit more of a loose experience with it, and
Yeah.
I would crack jokes to kind of keep the mood light. And same thing with my daughter, things like Abigail or Megan and Child's Play, like movies that are more fun, even Scream to a degree. I see that being more of an easier on ramp than something that's intense. Like here's the original Nightmare on Elm Street or something like that.
It's hostile. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense.
I would throw monsters out there.
I've got to read this name. Boob sweat leads to pearl necklaces. Asking
Whoa.
a good gateway
Get outta
movie
here,
is
Brian.
Lost Boys.
Whoa.
My mom let me rent it as a kid, thinking it was a Peter Pan movie.
Hell yeah.
Oh my
Oh.
god, that's so funny.
It's a gateway in so many ways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
greased up Sax guy. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's a good example
Yeah.
of like a
Learned
fun
lot of
one.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, a
See,
lot of those.
monsters just pull things in.
Would you
People in.
consider something like Teen Wolf as like if you're into werewolf movies? No, not
Yeah.
Michael J. Fox transition.
I'd consider
there.
Teen Wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Why not like Monster Squad or something like that too? Like as long as you're transitioning them into it.
For me, Teen Wolf is all comedy. It just happens to have a werewolf in it. I don't like
But-
it's like a drop of horror.
Wouldn't that be like a best, or not a best case scenario, but like, oh, I really liked some of the transition shit in Teen Wolf. Where it's like, okay, if you like that, here's an American Werewolf in London. You tell me how you feel on this one. All right, maybe that's excessive, but you know what I'm saying? Like they watched some sort of kids comedy or something, and there's some of the elements that are horror adjacent that they're like, that was kind of badass. A very good Marcy. I would
Yeah.
agree with this. Ghostbusters 1984. That
Oh, yeah.
That is
Still
very-
some of the scariest depictions of ghosts. I love it, man. Yeah, that got me as a kid for sure. I think that's how I knew I wanted to watch more of it. It's like, wait, I need that part, like that thing. Library Ghost.
library goes, huh?
Well, whatever it turns into, like that transitionary thing. It's just so amazing. It just made me want to figure out how they did that effect. Like that's how I knew I was just like in love with horror movies.
That
It's a
movie,
gateway.
the combination of the image, the ironic image with the music, when Stay Puft shows up, and it's this happy-faced marshmallow boy, but the music is that of like Godzilla running through the city, and I don't know, from that moment forward, I was like, oh, just big things, no matter how happy, can be scary. It's just a masterful way of syncing really fucked up music with an ironic image.
Boob Sweat also brings up Beetlejuice. That might not be a bad one either. Any Tim Burton is kind of a gateway to horror in a way. Creepier, anyway.
Yeah.
Troll and Troll 2.
Oh, fuck.
Wait, oh my God, is that Troll 2?
I haven't seen
Yeah,
any of
They're
those.
eating her, and then they're gonna eat me.
Oh, Troll
The
2 is
fly
so
had a cameo,
legendary.
it's nice.
Yeah, Exorcist 2, the bad one.
Why? You were trying to get people into horror.
Yeah,
Marcy,
Right? You're gonna turn it off.
no. No, Marcy, no.
so somebody brought it up earlier, and it's spoilers, I guess. The coffee table from this year.
Ugh.
Loved it.
It doesn't really. It has like a shot where it shows you something that you should be freaked out by. Do we need to see that shot?
No. It's so much more effective without
Please
the
don't.
shot.
Yeah.
That's not the shot. Like I would argue that you need the gore, but it's like the blood, like where it's dripping off of
Yeah.
like the actual
And just
crib
his
and
like
everything.
reaction.
Yeah, the
Mhm.
clothes. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Leprechaun.
Again, we're trying to get people
Aw,
in.
kitty.
I know. She's like really
I
wanting to be.
mean,
I love it.
I mean,
She's
it's
a
more
star.
lighthearted. It is more or less lighthearted. There's a little bit of gore in there. It's just kind of ridiculous seeing Mr. Warwick running around with the best time of his life.
Yeah.
So
Some of them are pretty gory. The third one's pretty gory. Sawing people in half and shit.
oh yeah.
Oh, we did discuss that, Marcy. Scooby Doo.
Yeah.
Certainly. So, Lise, what type of giallo films really, like? I see. You said it before that it doesn't really matter that much, but do you think that there's gore in certain giallo films where it like really you need to see it? Like, you have to see. I mean, I'm assuming Suspiria is up there, but you referenced Deep Red. Are there giallo films where you're like, oh yeah, this gore totally is what I remember from this movie?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would say like the sleazier jolly. It's kind of their thing. Like something like New York Ripper, which is like just a gross movie. Not even just for its gore, but just everything about it.
you'll
But
never
yeah.
hear Donald Duck the same way again.
Honestly. So
I don't think I've
ridiculous.
seen that. Then wait a minute.
Oh, it's batshit. It's like so offensive also in like every possible way.
Dice. What about? Well, I mean, I body horror. I think of things like The Fly, and I would even say The Substance. But I think something like The Substance, you can probably get away with not showing that, and it's still pretty important. I feel like it's Barbie meets I don't know, it's just fucked up standards for beauty, and you can probably get away with not going that far. But I would consider The Substance body horror. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dice body horror that like the gore is the thing that only thing that matters.
Only thing. Shit.
Well, not only.
No,
the most
big
important
thing.
thing. Yeah.
The big thing. Yeah. Well, The Thing is probably a big one that a lot of people will jump to. That's the more mainstream option, I suppose, with a lot of really fun practical effects. So you want to see this grotesque thing becoming some other grotesque thing. Reanimator, all of them, absolutely all of them. What else? Well, I hate to bring up Eli Roth, but Cabin Fever, probably.
Oh.
That's a good one
'cause
though.
Mm-hmm.
I heard and had distinct fears when it came to the razor blade scene way before I saw the
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
Oh.
So-
That scene.
Oh yeah. I was not the same for a while.
Same.
Yeah.
waxing from here on out. Thank you.
Yeah.
Fucking wild.
Cody, slashers. I mean, obviously, Terrifier is probably the first thing that comes to anyone's mind where, the gore is the thing that gets people in the door. Could you think of, like, maybe the Wrong Turn franchise? Like,
Yeah, I mean, Wrong Turn for sure. Friday the 13th, Terrifier. You can, I would say Nightmare on Elm Street, but you could probably get away with just doing really fantastical, off the wall shit with that one. You got a lot more carte blanche on that franchise than just ripping people in half.
would you say that Nightmare on Elm? Excuse me. Would you say that Nightmare on Elm Street is way more artistic about the way they do things, like the room spinning around in the first one, just like
I think they have to be. I mean, they're the only they're one of the only franchises that have the ability to do that. Like that's the dream sequence is the star, not necessarily the actual kill itself. And so they just have the ability to make those set pieces rather than just Jason walks up behind somebody or Michael comes out from the shadows and this person gets stabbed now. That's one. I wouldn't necessarily want to see a Freddy movie without gore, but if you were really creative and had to, I think you could. I think Phantasm, it's not really a slasher movie, but like along those same lines where, do you really want to see a version of that with no gore when you've got the little brain scramblers?
I'd like to see a version of it with a plot, but
Well, name a better orb movie.
Yeah. Have you ever seen better flying orbs, though?
Mm-hmm.
Come on now.
That was my water bottle.
oh.
Don't worry. My cat knocked it over.
Some good examples in the chat. Hatchet, The Collector. Yeah.
Ooh.
Gigi, from this recent year, 2024, I'm thinking of something that I feel like the gore felt like it was shoehorned in and kind of makes me feel weird about it. I'm thinking of a movie that just wasn't that good, and I think the gore actually makes it worse. And friend of the show, Lauren Lavera, is in a film called The Well.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it feels like two separate movies.
Yeah, the movie sucked.
Yeah.
Like I really liked the first half of it. Like
Right.
I feel like the first half, I was like, this is great.
I like
And
the
then
movie she's in.
Yeah, yes,
Yes, true.
Like I was like, this is so great, and then all of a sudden I was like, what the hell is happening here? But it did feel really like shoehorned in. It didn't make any sense. I feel like if it did make more sense, then like maybe it would have landed better. But as far as I'm trying to think of like other movies that came out this year that have had like extensive gore that really nobody has like talked about. One that kind of comes to mind, but I think it got a little bit of recognition was what was it? Something Destroy All Neighbors. I don't know if anyone saw that one. That one had a lot of body horror in there. I mean, everything that you could think of. That was a fun one. I can't really think of anything else that came out this year that was really body horror heavy.
Well, that's kind of, what about gore? Not even body horror, just
Oh,
gore
just
in general.
gore heavy.
In a Violent Nature.
Oh yeah, I was like, there was something in A Violent Nature that was gore heavy.
Oh, to stay on that for a second.
Yeah.
The kill that I'm thinking of is
Yes.
is the head, the thing that happens to the head.
Yes.
Does that, like, I think anybody who uses their brain for more than 2 seconds realizes that the body just wouldn't be able to do that.
Shh.
Yes,
Yes, it would.
well,
Let a boy dream.
does it make a difference?
Goals.
Like, I mean, I was
No.
certainly freaked out, but
Doesn't make any difference whatsoever. When you got somebody that's like supposed to be a Jason Voorhees-esque killer, like you just assume they have the power to do whatever they want with your appendages. And I'm not asking questions as long as it looks awesome.
Yeah.
okay.
And that's a movie
He's like,
that's
"I'll take
saved
it."
by gore, because if I didn't have that kill and a few other moments, I would have nothing nice to say about it.
Yeah, same. Like I'm feel the same. I mean, we were sitting right next to each other, so it was like it was the gore is what made it, and these like really just like elaborate kills. Where you're like, make it worse, and then they make it worse because I think everything else maybe just didn't land.
Don't
land
say that
as
publicly
well.
because you get hated for it and publicly
Oh,
shamed.
no.
Oh,
Will you?
What will we do?
Oh, yeah. In A Violent Nature?
There's In a Violent Nature stands out there
Oh,
with pitchforks.
the producers.
Oh,
Oh.
Oh, well.
They shamed people that tweeted. Well, let me not. I'm not doing drama this year. You know what? Fuck it.
I will very easily win an argument with anybody that
There's
made that
In a
film, because
Violent
I was
Nature
there when they were being
stands.
dicks in the
Wow.
Q&A. So.
yeah. I was like, no, because that was.
Gee.
They were- oh,
Yeah, they were just they were interesting.
The whole tone of their Q&A was like, yeah, we did that to piss everybody off. Didn't you love
Yeah.
it? And we're
Just
like,
that when
not
people,
really.
yeah, when people came out and they were like, the reason why they did this is because this really meta reason, and me and Cody are like, No, he said he just did it because he just wanted to flip off the audience. I was like, there was no thought behind this.
Mhm.
So, Lisa, you were going to say something? I'm sorry.
Oh no. I was just mentioning I couldn't believe that there was In a Violent Nature stands, but I'm not trying to be a hater here.
Look, if there's Winnie the Pooh stands, I'll believe anything.
That's actually true. It's
Yeah,
also
that's-
fucking crazy to me. But
That's true.
Gigi, did you see the shitty Mickey Mouse? whatever
oh
the
fuck,
Mousetrap
that was
Yes, I
so
did. The
bad.
mousetrap. It was really
Oh.
bad.
It
was really bad.
Why was he teleporting? I have so many
No.
fucking questions.
It literally.
They didn't even
No.
care to explain it.
And then the movie just like ended. You like
Yeah.
literally, you were like, oh, they were like in the middle of a sentence, and they just ended. It was just so. It was ridiculous. Oh, one really gore heavy movie that I forgot, which is very like Terrifier-esque because it's this Damien Leone worked on it, was Stream. I don't know if a lot of people saw Stream. That was really gore heavy. Yeah. Also, The Demon Disorder was really gore heavy too. Kind of slow, but I'm just naming all these movies.
So, to those of you in the chat, we'll open up the floor for a little bit. If you have questions for the panel, we'll go to the 2-hour mark, and we'll thank everyone here for joining us. I don't remember if it was what was the add-on to that thing super chat. No, Christian didn't add us.
Yeah,
back
I
up
never
to that
saw
question.
a response to that one.
I'm sorry,
No.
Christian. It reads funky to me. I don't understand what the question or statement is. Apologies.
Yeah.
Manny says that Destroy All Neighbors was a pretty fun horror comedy.
Yeah.
Is that based on the game? Am I thinking? Isn't there a game called Destroy?
Destroy All Humans.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Well.
So no.
Have you guys seen Stop Motion? One of the most underrated horror movies of the year, in my opinion.
Yes. That is it's a really good one. It has a couple of body horror scenes, like one really, really intense one where I had to like kind of look away. So yeah, it's a good one.
Nice. I'm definitely adding that to a list. I never heard that one.
I loved it.
So, at least were you answering that?
No, I've seen it. I feel like that film could have worked better as a short. I didn't think
That's
it was
fair.
bad.
I've seen a lot of
but
those last couple of years.
Yeah, it was like I think it dragged on a bit for me.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Marcy, thoughts on Gerald's Game, the freakiest movie for me? The handcuff scene indeed come under the skin, pun intended.
Yeah, I love that film. That's my favorite. Mike, no, I can't remember his last name. Film.
Flanagan.
Thank you, Flanagan. I love Flanagan films and series, but man, that one just takes the cake for me. It's a weird short story, but yeah, the fear is real. I get what you're saying, Marcy.
Does that movie need the scene with the degloving, you think? That's an example of what we're talking
I
about.
think so, but I had recently been introduced to the thought of degloving, and it added intensity to that. I don't know how I'd get out of handcuffs, but I'm sure degloving would be involved.
Oh God, yeah.
I'm going to gnaw my way through these cuffs first.
Manny says, "What you wish for is pretty great." Was that gory?
Oh, I mean, there's kind of some.
Well,
I guess
suggestion.
so. Like 2 people are kind of gorily taken out, but yeah.
That's not like how desensitized am I that I'm like I don't remember there being.
It
anything.
doesn't linger on anything, but it shows like, down in his little butcher shop, in the underground thing, it shows body parts.
Joshua, $2. Thank you. Do you think a bleak ending can undermine a movie? Yes, I think there's some people that think Joker 2 is only bad because of the ending.
Well,
I haven't even seen it.
Yeah, don't worry. It'll be home in 2 weeks.
I can't think of an example, but you could definitely sour a movie by trying to go bleak when it's not earned.
Yeah.
What about the original,
Speak No Evil.
2022? Speak No Evil. Yeah, exactly. That's kind
That
of a
whole,
bleak
that whole movie
ending.
soured to me, so I'm not
Well, I
against
mean,
that.
but you like
Yeah.
the remake, right? So isn't
Yes.
that kind of the
Yeah.
case of the ending, the bleak ending souring it for you?
I mean, that's part of it. It's more. I mean, it's the movie's point. So it's not like I'm saying they did it wrong, but like just the characters being so pathetic that entire
Yeah.
movie drove me nuts. Just the giant exclamation point on it was them allowing what happens to the person in the back seat and not doing anything. That was where I
Yeah.
was just like, no, like I was already kind of out, and now my fucking foot is far out the door. Whereas the remake, not as effective, but it's something I can at least have fun with and enjoy. So, and they're calling
Yeah.
bullshit the whole movie. So I'm like, yes, thank God.
Yes, I totally agree, 100%.
Well, I disagree 100%. I need the bleak. I think they just took all the teeth out of the remake. So for me, give me
I
the bleak.
respect it. I get
Yeah.
it. That's a remake and original argument that I totally get both sides.
Yeah. I do think that if the remake had, I wish that it had the bleak ending, like it would have felt more earned in the remake, because you were like, okay, they were calling bullshit. They at least were acting like actual human beings and had fight or flight sensitivity. And then it still ended up bleak, but at least they fought, but in the first one, I think I agree with you, Cody, where it was like, what? Do you have no sense of life preservation? So I don't know. That's
just the scene where the dude is butt ass naked with the daughter right there.
Yes,
like that
yes.
was enough for me, and that's 15 minutes in.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, exactly. So things like that, just yeah.
Can you split the difference and make the remake to Speak No Evil slightly more bleak?
yeah, if
Yeah.
they had had the same ending in the remake,
100%.
it still would have been more palatable for me.
Yeah,
Huh.
I think so. Because I think it would have been earned.
Yeah.
Have either of you on the top row seen Speak No Evil?
Neither one.
I've seen them. I agree with Cody. I have no
I win,
notes.
Gray. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Fair enough.
Do you
Be
do
on
you
this
think
island by myself.
remake.
It's fine.
do you think a bleak ending can undermine a movie?
Yeah, well, I was saying earlier, I can't think of an example, but if it doesn't feel earned, it can definitely sour you. Where like it's not necessarily a bleak ending, but like something that heads in that direction is a film I saw at Fantastic Fest. It's called Night Call, and it's this French thriller about this this locksmith who gets tricked into opening up a door so that somebody can steal shit from a gangster, and then the gangster's like, "You're gonna go find my shit, or I'm gonna kill you." So the whole movie is him being chased and trying to get this stuff back. And it makes a decision in like the last 5 minutes to try to have some dark social commentary. And it's like, no, that wasn't this movie. Like, you just gave me an ending to something I wasn't watching. And so it's not a perfect example, but something along those lines where if it's not earned, it can undermine it.
Can it work?
Man. Patrick's bringing up The Mist, though. The perfect bleak ending. So good.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm on your side with that one. That one's earned.
That one is, yeah, very much.
Can the same happen in reverse? Can you have a bleak movie that has a happy ending where you're like, come on, man, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just
Most
trying to
people,
think of.
or not most people, I think Gray would say the Speak No Evil remake would be that.
Yeah. Yes.
You're like, oh, everybody, it's all happy with a little bow. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Come on, you take out the titular scene and you make the kid the hero. No deal.
Yeah.
Dice, did you have one in mind that you were nodding to?
Okay. Well, there's a couple floating about, but one for some reason that comes to mind. Even though I think that the ending of it does work fine, maybe it would have been a little bit better if it did have a bleaker ending, and that's Prisoners from 2019.
Jesus. Okay.
I mean, it's a
Pretty fucking bleak.
movie all
You're going
the
Yeah.
time.
I'm not a fan of Hope
We
whatsoever.
can go dark.
Well, like I said, you could maybe this could be one of those situations where they had filmed like a different ending and you had access to both. Because I was fully anticipating watching it the first time through. I was fully anticipating this horrific, bleak as hell ending, but it's like it managed to wrap up with everything's gonna be fine. Everything's fine. Everybody you cared about, they're gonna be fine. I'm like, okay. So it works fine as it is, but I would be curious as to what the bleak ending for it would be.
That's fair.
Josh with $5. Thank you. For me, Smile is a good example of a bleak ending, feeling cheap, predictable, unearned, and undermining the entire film. I'm going to start with you, Celise. how do you feel about the ending of Smile? Do you feel like it's predictable, cheap, and undermining the entire movie?
No, actually, I loved Smile, so
Right.
I disagree with that.
You're
I
probably
think
going to see Smile 2 with some of the best people ever, if I had to guess.
I am.
Sorry.
No, I think that ending kind of makes the most sense for the movie. I think it's effective. No notes. Loved it.
Yeah, I do feel like that movie is like trauma. The
It
film.
is. It's the trauma
Yeah.
we traumatized along the way, you know?
Yeah. Does anybody else have any comments on Smile being cheap, predictable, and unearned? I strongly
Found it
disagree.
completely
I
the opposite.
really
Yeah,
don't
like
think
just
Yeah.
it's cheap at all. Like,
No,
I thought it was going to be. I always forget the other one that's very similar. The smiling.
Truth or
Follow.
oh, Truth or
Truth
Dare.
or- Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know why I can't even remember the name of that, but I feel like
looks
that
like a
one seemed
Snapchat
cheap and
filter.
unearned. Yeah,
Yeah.
where Smile, it just completely surprised me. So I really dig it, but kind of worried about Smile too. I'm not hearing a lot, so I don't know.
I'm a little concerned too.
Yeah, me too.
I think it just works so well as a standalone film that, like,
Mhm.
it's just not really necessary. I'm interested to see where it goes.
Yeah.
Somebody brought it up recently, and I sort of agree with it. That I mean, it goes exactly to what Gray was saying. When we saw the trailers for Smile, we're like, oh, another Truth or Dare bullshit, and it was
Because
actually
the
quite.
trailer like didn't sell it well at all. It made it look like this weird, like, kind of camp, kind of like not taking itself seriously movie. And then
So
you watch it and you're like, oh.
yeah.
Yeah.
So is
Ooh,
it
not for
possible
family
that the
night.
sequel could be good? I mean, 'cause
Maybe
the
after
trailer
that
just-
I'm
first
hoping.
trailer, I'm hoping, yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know.
What is the funniest horror movie you have seen? Mine is Old or The Happening.
Whoa,
It's hard to argue with
Beach
that.
that makes you old. I love it.
How far would we go into comedy? Like, I mean, Raimi kind of comes to mind. He has a great blend of it. I love the Evil Deads, but I don't know. Are we going way more into comedy than that?
It's just funniest horror movie.
Like that's actually supposed to be a serious one, but it's funny.
Oh yeah, good clarification. Yeah, I'll add that stipulation. Something that's supposed to be scary but is not. It's
Oh,
quite
oh
funny.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I really feel like M. Night at this point, he's just leaning into the shit at this point. Like Trap is just so either you're in on the joke or you're not, because it's just so
I must be like in the
cheeky at times.
minority. I love Trap.
Really?
Sorry. Yeah.
That's
It's got
fair.
some
I actually
really
really
fun
like
shots.
old.
Sorry. It's fun. Trap is fun.
Yeah,
Ooh.
what's up?
I don't know. I guess it would have to be The Happening for me because like it's not supposed to be funny, but I can't stop laughing at that. Like that to me is like,
Same.
the ultimate.
I'm gonna throw a really interesting and random one that I'm sure absolutely nobody else has heard of before unless I mentioned it. This was supposed to be taken seriously, and I was laughing my fucking ass off the whole way through. The Last Vampire on Earth.
I have not seen it.
Me
I
either.
don't know what that is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't watch it. It's okay.
Huh.
Another good one is Wes Craven's Deadly Friend.
Oh,
Never seen.
Have you ever seen the basketball to the woman from the Goonies? Her head explodes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's that movie. It's
Okay.
He sought out to
Oh.
make like a little sci-fi coming of age movie, and they said, "You're the Nightmare on Elm Street guy. We need kills and gore," and so they made him put it in there, and it does not fit at all. And so you get a movie that's with the mix is supposed to be a horror film, but you laugh the entire time. You got Kirsty Swanson like coming through the hallway, BB, and like stuff like that. I did a live stream with our buddy Rudy, and he hadn't seen it in years, and it's just us fucking dying laughing unintentionally the entire time.
Oh, I do have one. And this one actually, I feel kind of bad about this one because It's coming out this month, so it hasn't come out yet, but
Oh no.
it is Shelley Duvall's last film
Oh,
before
no.
passing.
Ooh.
I know, but it's not it that's her part is great. But the movie itself is about a werewolf, and it is just a naked guy in the woods going yip 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 yip
Oh
yip,
my
and I'm like,
no.
I was just dying laughing, and it's a very serious film, and like you want to like it because it's Shelley Duvall's last movie, and you're like, this is just so bad, so bad. So, in case you want to watch The Forest Hills, it comes out later this month.
Oh,
Oh my god.
that's
I
unfortunate.
was questioning that one.
Yeah.
Why is that doing it? Hold on.
Oh, oh.
Okay. I had a message in the top and it just didn't make sense to me. Apologies. A Quiet Place. I laughed when the kid played with the shuttle.
Damn, boy.
Mhm.
Damn.
Yeah, Patrick also put that one up. All right, guys. Fair enough.
Sadistic motherfucker.
For me, scary movie that I laughed my ass off was People Under the Stairs, but that was after a movie marathon of Red Hot-
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Monty Python, Holy Grail, and History of the World Part 1. That's a really weird marathon there.
Yeah.
Well, you had
Very
a good
random.
time.
Yeah.
Go off, you know?
Hmm.
I don't know. Do you?
Texas
best way.
Chainsaw 3D makes me laugh my ass off.
Again.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny. Do your
Yeah.
thing, cuz.
Oh gosh.
Iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah, when movies are bad like that, it's, I
Wouldn't
don't
know what that's
purposely
like.
so.
Yeah.
You good, Cody?
Yeah, there's just a little mix-up with picking up my son from work. I saw my wife leave with the Ring camera, and I was like, "Oh, she's got him." And then she comes in, she's like, "When's he get off?" I'm like, 5 minutes ago. Like what? And
Got his own car now. What the
calling her
hell?
like, "Don't speed. He's fine." Yeah.
Green Inferno is funny.
No. That's, to me, that's all of Eli Roth's worst qualities in a film. Like I actually like Eli Roth, but everything that I think he does kind of poorly, mostly his sense of humor, full display in that movie.
Isn't that kind of like M. Night though, where it like he's trying to like nudge you with his shoulder?
Humor is fucking weird. Like I think Signs is really funny, but I don't know if he intended it to be or not.
Yeah.
Like, there's moments in that movie where I genuinely get a good laugh, and it's the same sense of humor as Trap. But in Trap, I'm like it doesn't work sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I just feel like Eli Roth, like he thinks he's funnier than he is, and like writes shitty college bro humor, and it's just like, this is shitty. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, everybody aged up like 20 years ago. What? Hell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, what? I didn't hear the first part of what you said.
Oh,
Aged up.
everybody else aged up 20 years ago. Mr. Roth.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's something that's kind of like married to a lot of these horror filmmakers. Like Rob Zombie just can't get away from that hick Southern fried motherfucker, and it's just like, can you do other?
At least
things?
Eli tried a couple times. He did the Clock in the Walls and the Borderlands. I don't know that he's necessarily successful on them, but he's kind of trying to branch out a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Borderlands should get him much more work, I would assume.
I love Death Wish. I'm the weirdo that likes that movie. So.
Yeah, I dig that one too. I feel like it's one of the last ones from Bruce that's really a high tier.
Yeah, I agree.
Not a horror movie, but if you want a funny movie that's supposed to be serious, watch Serenity with Matthew McConaughey.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a movie where it's like a dead serious movie, and then this twist happens, and you're like, "What the fuck?" And then, like, not in a good way at all. And so then you're just like laughing. You're like, "They really made this movie and thought that was awesome."
Does a video game have something to do with it? Oh,
I mean, the movie's terrible, and it's years old. So spoiler alert, I guess. But the whole movie is about Matthew McConaughey trying to save his ex-wife, I believe, from like an abusive husband, and his son is like caught in the middle of it, something like that. And 2/3 of the way through the film, you find out that it's all a video game, and you're like, "What?" Like it doesn't hint at it at all. It tonally it doesn't work, but it goes for it.
It's
And
like the reverse of it was all a dream.
Yeah, no,
yes,
literally,
it's like the most
Oh, yeah.
asinine version of that. And so then you have
Aw.
20 minutes left, and you're like, "No, what?
What the
Okay,
hell?
Shut it off.
yeah."
Well, we've passed 2 hours. Thank
Mhm.
you, everyone, for participating, and to those of you in the chat for keeping the conversation going. Please, if you enjoyed this, interact with the video, thumbs up, comment, all that stuff, because this is going to get buried once they figure out I've said tits 20 times in this described for
21 now.
YouTube doesn't like us.
I wish they would get specific with the reasons. Like, you were demonetized for suggesting masturbation with a machine.
You said tits 5 times.
yeah, like PG-13, one fuck, that's all you get.
Yeah.
Tell me where
That's right.
it goes.
Just make this stream black and white. It'll be fine.
You'll be good.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't say fuck. It was just chocolate syrup.
Yeah.
Dice, what do you have coming up on your channel soon?
Yes, we've been trying to get things lined up. I'm going to try to get back into the Halloween franchise. We left off about halfway through last year. So we're going to be going in with Curse of Michael Myers, I believe. We're going to be talking about both versions.
Which one?
So,
Oh, 6? Is that 6?
6.
Yeah. 6.
Hmm.
The one with Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
Oh.
A very young Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
And the last one with Donald Pleasance.
Mhm.
So
Oh.
after that, we'll
They've
see what
done
we
him
do
wrong.
with the rest. I'm hoping to be able to, even if it goes past October, I'm hoping to be able to just take the Halloween franchise. Okay, here.
Yeah,
and
good
be
luck.
done with that. So,
Good luck with that fan base.
Mhm.
I already got shit for my review that I did last year for the original Halloween 2, so
Yeah, they don't go away.
Oh.
No,
They
they
just
don't.
they find you.
they keep
That's all.
multiplying.
Celise,
Oh my goodness.
what do you have coming up?
I'm delving deeper into my disturbing cinema journey. So I have
What next?
I have a video of disturbing horror films I will never watch again coming up. And then I'll be reviewing Terrifier 3. So it all kind of lines up together.
Awesome. And if we're all lucky, we might do an out of theater thing for something else coming out this month.
Yes, so exciting.
Cody,
Yeah.
hi. What do you got coming up?
So as soon as we click off, I've got my ranking of the 25 films I saw at Fantastic Fest. I was trying to get it out earlier, had an error right before we went live. So I was kind of like, when I kept looking away, I was literally like finishing the thumbnail and getting stuff done so that it can make the date today. So that's an hour and 40-minute video because I have a lot of, like, I talk about the Rob Zombie concert and a bunch of other stuff. And then, 25 films where there's a lot to say. So that's my big video for the weekend. And I don't have any idea what I'm going to do next because the big release I've already reviewed. So I'm going to have to get creative on my calendar and stay tuned for those ideas.
Nice. Gigi?
Yeah. What do I got coming up? Well, I'm still reviewing all my, I'm so behind on my reviews for watching every horror movie. I think on my TikTok, that's my main is TikTok. And so I think I'm on like number 145, but I expect 20 more soon, but so there's that. But I started YouTube not that long ago, so I am gonna hopefully try to put out some actual like movie reviews. It'll be my first time like actually reviewing like a singular movie. So that'll be fun.
Right on.
Mhm.
And
Awesome.
thanks for joining us too, by the way.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Anytime. Gray? Nope.
Hey, I'm Greg. Yeah, supposedly I'm a YouTuber. There will be reviews up soon. Yeah, just opened a letterbox. But if you just can't get enough of me, stop over to Rosales Comics every Sunday morning for the Super Sunday wrap up. You may just meet Charles there and quite a few others. But yeah, Rosales gives it his special version of the news for the week. Everything you need to know. Just go over there, 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern, every Sunday. And then if you just can't get enough after that, there's also The Thinkers every Thursday on That Darn Kidda's channel. What can I say? I'm on other people's channels. Not really my own, but one day.
You're a nomad, that's all.
Go off.
Yeah, what can you do?
Okay.
Yeah.
But this is broken. Go away.
Oh,
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 nice. Hey.
I just want to know what nasty shit you guys got on Charles to get him on a superhero show every Sunday, because that's wild.
You don't want to
Oh,
know.
no, it's not
It involves gore.
It's not exclusively superhero. It's
Oh, okay. I took the
Just
name
wrestling.
and the comic book
it's a
graphics too
hodgepodge.
literal.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm the movie guy there too, the box office guy there.
Yeah.
So over here, Emily has something sort of in the can for Return of the Living Dead that was shot when she was here in the States. So hopefully we can get that to you. I just need some of the footage from her that may be out before Halloween. I don't know. But in the meantime, I'll probably do something on Terrifier, and Happiness is the next thing I'm covering as far as movies that you really don't want to watch in front of anyone ever or
You're
recommend.
matching the energy of the film.
Yeah.
Assuming that you enjoy it, you have to do a video, even if it's a joke. You have to do a video with a thumbnail of why Terrifier 3 is better than Joker Folia 2, just to watch the head implosion in the UK.
If you think Joker 2 is better than this, you were wrong.
Yeah.
So again, thank you everyone for joining us. If you want to see another one of these somewhere down the line, please let us know down below. And until next time, thank you, Dice Roland, Lisa of Sweet and Spooky, Gray Poupée, Gigi of Room for Scream, and Cody of Cody Leach. Say goodnight, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.
Oh,